Hello and welcome to Label Sessions Presents, the podcast where we talk to the most interesting people about all the things you need to know in the worlds of innovation, business, design, tech, and culture. I am Fuzlin Esau, and today we are joined by three brand new additions to the Label Sessions expert roster, as well as Josh Nixon from the Label Sessions team. Hello, everyone.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
So a hello and welcome to Natascha Mengewein. Natascha is the foresight strategist who brings humanity to the future, turning complex systems into meaningful, ethical futures with a rare blend of engineering rigor and cultural empathy. Hello, Natascha.
Hello. Thank you for the introduction.
Amazing. A big welcome to Michelle Leivars. Michelle, the mentor who built herself back and now builds up others, helping women move from self-doubt to self-made with empathy, clarity, and lived experience. Hello, Michelle.
Nice to be here.
Wonderful. And also a big welcome to Steve Chaparro. Steve is the strategist for stuck visionaries, turning founder fog and leadership chaos into clear strategy, strong narrative, and purposeful growth. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. So it has been another very busy week in the world of innovation. And one of the topics that has come up is, has social media outgrown the social? So Meta made headlines just last week when in its defense against an FTC antitrust suit, it claimed that social media is dead. Their point being that algorithms now dominate what we see. It's less about friends and it's more about sort of frictionless discovery. It's no longer a platform for connection, but one for content consumption. So as platforms shift from networks to feeds, we have to ask, what are we gaining and what are we losing? Is social media really dead, or is it just becoming something else entirely? I'm going to open this up to everyone. Thoughts on, is social media dead?
I love these provocations, and I call these statements of like social media is dead is really, in my view, just a provocation about how something is changing. For me, it doesn't really mean that the subject is dead, but it just means that we have to look at it differently. I mean, whether it's social media is dead, I come from IDEO, where people have said design thinking is dead. Or if I'm in the venture capital space, they're saying that venture capital is dead or at least changing. But in my experience, I think platforms are built around discovery, optimized for scale. But oftentimes it's at the expense of trust. And I think we're feeling that now. I think content finds you, but connection doesn't. And I think that's the trade-off a lot of times with social media. I often say that discovery is a feature, but relationship is the product. So when social platforms drift too far from their relational DNA, they become more broadcasting tools than they are community ecosystems. So I think that said, the evolution isn't the death of social. It's about the fracturing of what we call connection into multiple modalities. I think AI definitely accelerates this. Platforms can now even anticipate desire before we're even aware of it, which is really scary. And I think the risk of that is we lose agency because we no longer have to think for ourselves. But the opportunity, on the other hand, is we design for deeper resonance, not just engagement.
Yeah, I'd like to echo what Steve said, definitely. I think social media is very much still alive, but perhaps just not in the traditional sense that it used to be when it was first launched. Obviously, back in the days of Facebook, it was kind of a place where you kept in touch with the people that you already knew. Whereas now, I mean, it's definitely transformed, I think, for the better, but just perhaps not for the traditional reason that it came into the world in the first place. I mean, I think from a business perspective, social media has absolutely changed the way that we are able to reach our customers, build relationships. I think it's a huge tool for especially startup businesses to be able to bring people along the journey with them, and their own customers feel like they can be a real big part of the decision making, even down to, I don't know if you guys follow, but the hilarious marketing team at Audi, for example, and they're like quit backs on like their against Lidl and stuff. It's just hilarious. I think it's genius when it comes to business, but like I say, potentially it's just evolved in the way that it started.
I tend to agree with this, with the idea that we're sort of, it has become that sort of content consumption. That's what we're doing on it. I don't, when I look at my feed, there are hardly any times where it is people that I know. And I think Instagram has even implemented a new way of sharing where you can share it to your friends, like in terms of sharing a reel or sharing to your friends. And it's like, for most part, I was like, I thought that was what I was doing. So it was just like interesting. So this is a new feature, but it really has sort of, become a broadcast mechanism rather than a social connection. And whether that is good or bad remains to be seen. But I definitely feel that the social aspects are somewhat missing.
I will say that there's one element of community and engagement that I do like about social media is that when I dive into the comment section, there's a pretty funny, or that whatever was posted is going to have a ton of commentary from the feed. I do enjoy that. I will admit, at times I don't know if I'm, although it probably still is on the consumption side, not so much the community side, because I'm definitely more of a participant in those cases. But maybe something could be said there.
It is where all the drama is, in the comments. And I think it's why something like Reddit is still really, about community and those sort of things, where you're sort of able to interact. And it was interesting to see that a lot of what AI is getting is coming from Reddit. So a lot of what the AI systems are drawing from is actually coming from non-synthetic users and actual real users within sort of Reddit communities, because that seems to be the only forum where people are still engaging, rather than sort of the constant bots.
So coming back to the question of whether or not it is, or there are advantages of building social media around the discovery approach rather than relationships, I'd say that depending on the way that we set up social media around discovery, if we add in some serendipity and pushing some content that is completely outside of our interest zone, completely outside of our relationship bubbles, showing us perspectives and approaches and attitudes that are completely different, so that we really step out of whatever it is that we think is the norm and standard, we would really benefit from such an approach in social media. I don't know. I mean, honestly, seeing what I've been seeing for the past years, this is not really what people try to do, which is why I am more concerned, worried, or maybe excited about updating the societal subconscious. It sounds now very spiritual, I know, but what I really mean is that, our subconscious as a society, and therefore as individuals, was built in a time, in a context where if a bag of rice fell over in China, and I'm in Germany right now, I didn't care, right? But if now just a grain of rice fell from the table in China, honestly, I would feel an earthquake here. So this is due to the amplification that we see, the technology, the digitalization, but somehow, because our subconscious is so slow, the societal subconscious so slow in transforming, many people that are taking decisions, many people that are founding their businesses to, impact the world, they think they have the new subconscious, but they don't. They still act as if there weren't any secondary or higher order implications to what they're doing. And I would really love to see and help more people to actually remove their mental and emotional blinders sometimes, to have a broader perspective, more holistic, and to really see where their decisions are leading us as well as the world and the inter and intra-human interaction and connection. And this, of course, also includes the social media platform and approach that we're talking about here.
That really stuck out to me when you said the AI therapy is being treated as the best form of therapy. So isn't it fascinating that we as humans would prefer to go to a non-human for that kind of validation and that support instead of going to a fellow human. It's crazy the way that things are changing.
It is.
And so quickly, it's like,
Yeah.
it's honestly, the landscape has changed over the last year. There was the complete meltdown of GPT-5 and sort of people losing their AI boyfriends and girlfriends, which was devastating to a lot of people. Very interesting.
I'm just thinking sometimes that it has also to do with us wanting everything and having wanted everything to be frictionless and seamless. I mean, that started in well, maybe it didn't start there. Maybe it started way before, but still, as far as I know, it started in the digital world with all the software products where we just said, oh, everything has to be frictionless so that the people will just stay on whatever service it is that we provide. But this also translates into the interhuman connection, right? Because if I'm not used to, or if I don't have to stand friction on these platforms or in the apps that I'm using, why should I stand those frictions in a real interhuman connection?
Yeah, and be uncomfortable. I think that's the one thing that I think a lot of people are very not comfortable with, is being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think are we potentially setting our expectations too high as well? In years gone by, looking at my eldest daughter, for example, she's 21 and she has lived through her life with social media just been up and coming. And then now with the fact that AI is absolutely everywhere, are we taking something away from the next generation by not letting them have, well, not letting them, but enabling them to have easier experiences and quicker answers to things? Whereas when we were at school and we were kids, we kind of, if we wanted to be social with people, we would have to physically go out and go and meet them. Whereas now it's all taking place over a screen. So are we setting our kids' expectations too high to have those quick answers when they need them, rather than being able to work it out for themselves the same way that we had to?